Today's episode of Mark 42's Hooniverse is brought to you by Audible.com. You get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/Mark42. There are over 150,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. You lucky guys. That's www.audibletrial.com/Marku42. And now, here's the show.
Hi everyone, this is Yee Jee Tso. You're listening to Marku 42's Hooniverse.
Marku 42 Hooniverse.
Welcome to Marku 42's Hooniverse, Doctor Who Hooniverse, that is. I'm your host, Mark-Baumgarten, and with me today is...
Christian-basel, and Christian-basel, and Christian-basel.
Wow, 3 times Christian-basel for your listening pleasure here on Marku.
I had to fill in the blanks here.
Well, you're listening to us on Krypton Radio, and I hope you're going to sit back and enjoy yourself. We've got an interview with Yee Jee Tso, who played Chang-lee. Yeah, he played Chang-lee on the telemovie back in 1996 of Doctor Who. But before we go there, we want to first say, hi Ed, hi Trish. Hope you're enjoying Wizard World Reno. They got to meet Karen Gillan. That was cool. I don't know if she said anything back to them, but they probably said hi to her.
Well, I hope they took a selfie.
Yeah. Oh, no, I hope they took a selfie. That was a terrible show. I'm sorry, Karen. Okay, let's start off the show with the news. We're going right to the news. Christian?
Oh, I don't even get a little announcement or anything?
No, you don't get
Ed?
an announcement because you're not the lady. If you were the lady,
offended.
you'd get an announcement with a bad
really?
British accent, but you're the
Do I have to pull a Missy right now?
Oh, no.
Do I have to get the respect there? Really?
And now here's the news with Christian Basel. Christian Basel, what's in the Doctor Who news bag for the week? Okay, there you go. You got it.
I can never fill in Trish's shoes. I think are too small anyway. Well, the final ratings have come in for Death in Heaven, and the final ratings come in for the UK transmission. 7.60 million viewers watch.
That's not bad. I think, because from what I understand, this season, they've actually, the first 4 episodes or 5 episodes were in the top 15 at least. So, the season was doing well in England. Maybe not as well as some of the previous seasons, but it was doing well.
Well, when we were doing the reviews of all the episodes, we were getting overnight figures. And since technology has come up since the premiere of Rose, we have BBC iPlayer and all that, which we're going to get into a little bit here. Actually, let's get into it now. For Series 8 Overview, they've drawn in 7.4 million viewers.
Right.
So every episode has done pretty gosh darn well.
Yeah, Peter-Capaldi was a success.
Exactly. And
like
if you
we didn't know that.
And if you tack on the BBC iPlayer, there's been a total of 18.9 million requests.
Wow.
So that's an average of 1.6 million requests per episode.
Right.
So tack that on to the ratings, and yeah, Capaldi was a success.
All right. Way to go.
As much as it was a turbulent ride through it, it was a complete success. And that Peter Capaldi is a great actor. So.
He is, and he's a great doctor. I have to say, I saw your Facebook post with the meme about Peter Capaldi being the greatest, but your favorite really is Tom Baker. But I think Peter Capaldi is really making a strong second at this point.
Well, just to bring up our audience of speed up there, I put up a meme with Peter Capaldi's face that says, "Peter is my doctor." Right. Essentially, I am going to accept Peter amongst the other doctors, and I'm not downing the other doctors, but I'm growing to love Peter faster and faster than any of the doctors prior to King David. And that's just me. It doesn't speak for everybody, but to me, he has legitimized himself. He is a doctor. He's in.
He definitely is. Said. He definitely is. Who's he? He's who.
Exactly. So I'm proud of Peter, what he has done. The only thing I probably had some problems with, if you want to call it that, is every once in a while I had to rewind the DVR to hear what he just said. But other than that...
Yeah, the Scottish accent gets in the way for a lot of people.
He's had some great moments in every episode. Peter is, I think, what the Doctor should be. And everybody else has had their own interpretation. You're going to like him, you're going to not like him, and that's going to speak for all of his 11 predecessors. So I think he is a wonderful Doctor. There's no doubt to it. And if the fangirls left, so be it. But I think we've brought back what Doctor Who was supposed to be. There's nothing wrong with what Chris and David and Matt have done, right. But I think we finally came full circle. I think the best description of Peter Capaldi is he's classic series brought into the new series.
Yeah. Now, you gave us the ratings for Britain. Do you have any idea how we've been doing in the United States?
Actually, in BBC America, the premiere show, Deep Breath, was the highest rated show that network has seen.
Wow. So any of the Christmas specials that were high, this one beat that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That case, it is the highest rated series of the show premiere on BBC America, and it's incredible.
Yeah. And the rest of the season must have done well, too?
Yes.
You were telling me off the air about the first 10 episodes being, at least the first 10 episodes being, I mean, it's the best show on BBC America. It's the highest rated show.
The series itself experienced a 23% uplift in the total audience.
And that's after the fangirls left.
That's after the fangirls left. We got a new set of fangirls coming in. So
people must really like
might have been the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm excited. It took a while. I think
it took a while.
Well, no, it took a while for us to get
season before we started figuring them out.
Well, so yeah, some of our discussions were, when David had his premiere, it was, this planet is defended. Matt had his moment when he said, basically run. Right. And we didn't really get that until later on. We really didn't get the characteristics until later on. So I think that was one of the biggest complaints going around on the internet.
Yeah.
Why Capaldi wasn't getting it to the audience, because I think Moffat and the writers hadn't brought it in yet. They were waiting. Right. And we understood why later on in the series, if anybody wants to accept that explanation, if he's a good man, if he's not a good man, or if he's an idiot with a screwdriver in a box. I think we're finally coming to its fruition. I am excited, and especially for me, and Jenna-Coleman, I don't want to see her off in bad terms, but if we are getting a new companion, I think it just is going to bring a new energy to the series that we've been waiting for.
I think you're absolutely right. What else do we have in the news bag?
Well, Mr. Bernard Cribbins has been awarded the annual J.M. Barrie Award for a lifetime of unforgettable work for children on stage, film, and television. So congratulations, Mr. Cribbins, or we would like to say Wilf. Congratulations on that. Now, I've never seen any of his children's work. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. Well, no, that's not true. I've actually seen one of his shows, Old Jack's Boat, which is a children's series in England, and RTD is actually written for it. And Freema Agrawal has also been on it. So it's a cool show. But he's the star. He plays Old Jack at Old Jack's Boat. It's for children on the CBBC. Or is it on the CBBS? I think it's on CBBS. I think it's even younger than the CBBC. It's CBBS.
I think you're just making this up.
No. It's all real. It's all real.
Dang.
Exactly. Blue Moon. Blue Moon Detective Agency. This is Agnes DePesto. Moonlighting Stranger.
I don't even know what that meant. Anyway, moving on. By the way, there is a video going around on the internet, a YouTube video, and I've actually heard about this.
Yeah.
But did you know that Mr. Capaldi himself did turn down the role of Doctor Who?
Yeah, I heard about this, and I almost can't believe that it didn't come out till now.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, but by the way, he's not the only one to have turned down the role.
Oh, I know plenty of people have turned down, but he turned down the telemovie.
But became future.
The guy we're going to interview in a few minutes, Yee Jee.
Yeah.
He turned it down.
Yeah, that's not the only person to turn down the role who would become a future Doctor.
Oh.
Christopher Eccleston also turned down the TV movie role.
Christopher Eccleston turned down the TV role?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
He declined. He was invited to, and for whatever reason, he said no. But if you go on YouTube and look on, Peter Capaldi turned down Doctor Who, you could probably find anywhere down there. And he gives his explanation. Quoting from him, I loved it so much that I didn't want to have the disappointment of going for something that I would never get. So that was his mentality as to why he turned down that opportunity. Well, to each their own.
And
but
we finally got him.
Could you imagine Chris or Peter being the eighth Doctor, time slipping back into the role now?
If they had done that, it would have been their one shot, and they wouldn't have done more than one episode. So actually, in hindsight, Paul McGann, especially because Paul McGann does better on audio, I think, than he did on the TV movie.
I think he did okay.
I mean, he did okay. I shouldn't say that. Again, Yee Jee is coming up, so I shouldn't say that. But seriously, the TV movie was what it was. The audio plays are amazing. Paul McGann has brought the character of the Eighth Doctor to life more coherently in the audio adventures from Big Finish than the TV movie. Because the TV movie was just a regeneration crisis episode. It wasn't really him as a doctor, if you think about it.
I'm actually going to even go one step further. I think some of the Big Finish Eighth Doctor is some of the best Doctor Who ever.
I agree. Some of any of the Big Finish line are the best Doctor Who stories. I mean,
especially with Lucy Miller's series.
Lucy Miller. Charlotte Pollard is great. They released a series of her alone after she left both Doctors that she was with. And that's a great audio adventure, too. I mean, they're great stories, Big Finish. And subscribers get more at bigfinish.com.
They do.
They do. Can I get a job now?
If you listen, you'll understand what we're talking about.
Nick Briggs owes me a job now because I've just done his little line.
I'll even go one better. I'll even go for it. So everybody get your drinks out. I'm giving you a plug because you sold me Scherzo,
Paul
Rob
McGann.
Sherman episode, which actually I believe takes place right after Zagreus.
Yes.
I have yet to hear that, but I heard Scherzo, and I meant it could also be a standalone.
Oh, yeah.
It's very good, and it's just India and Paul, and that's it.
Yeah.
And Rob was saying to me that, people didn't understand it, people didn't get it, or, they thought it was weird and all that, but I thought that was some of the best Doctor Who ever written.
Yeah, it was.
Because there was no time and space. It was essentially a blank universe with those two, and it was amazing. And some great writing from Rob.
So what else do we have in the world of Doctor Who?
Well, Entertainment Weekly has just come out and has said that Matt Smith is going to star opposite Natalie Dormer in Patient Zero.
Oh.
The action thriller that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, I heard about Patient Zero. It sounds like World War Z and 28 Days Later and all those movies wrapped up in the one. It sounds like a zombie picture, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I haven't even seen the preview. I just remember, what was it, Lost River, that he shaved his head for, and I haven't heard much about that one. And I heard that the Cannes Film Festival didn't give it appreciation. So I'm hoping this kind of brings Matt back up again.
I hope Terminator Genesis brings Matt up.
I'm sure that's going to coin it. I think that's going to kick it up there. As Grace Point is bringing David into a new audience, I'm hoping the Terminator movie and Patient Zero will bring him into an American audience even more post-Doctor Who there.
And if we could erase Selfie and just put in Guardians of the Galaxy a few more times, we'd help
Get the
Karen.
sequel out quick.
Yeah.
Get it out quick.
Help Karen.
Just in case for folks who may not be familiar with this movie from Entertainment Weekly, they quote, "An immune survivor must race to find Patient Zero and a cure to save his infected wife and the human race at large." Yeah, I haven't heard much about it, but I'll keep an eye on that.
Okay.
For you.
Either you or Trish, one of you.
Yeah, Trish will do a better job than I'm doing right now. And without further ado, let's go to the birthdays.
Yeah, I love birthdays. Go for it.
Here we go. I just lost the birthdays. Just to let people know, we are recording on November the 23rd.
Happy anniversary!
I was getting to that.
It's the biggest birthday you could have.
I know. Well, we'll get to that. But we want to get to some important people who made very big contributions to the show. And we got 6 of them today. Kevin Nowak is 36 today. He is the voice of Handles in The Time of the Doctor.
Oh.
Today is also not necessarily a man who's contributed, but is a very, very big fan. We know.
Oh, yeah.
We know in every way. Chris Hardwick.
Wow. Hey, Chris, happy birthday.
Hey there, sir. He's done, I've seen him do the post shows for the Walking Dead, but he's also done post and pre-shows for when they did the 50th anniversary, and I think he did one for the premiere of Deep Breath.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, Chris, and bring you on the show whenever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Chris, you're welcome to come on our show on Mark Who 42's Universe anytime you want. I know you're listening, Chris. Come on, happy birthday. Come on our show.
There you go.
Do you remember
now,
his show Singled Out on MTV?
I did not know.
No, never mind. No point in discussing Singled Out. It was a dating show. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a dating show.
Was this before his meteoric rise?
This was before his meteoric rise.
Okay.
Way before his meteoric rise. He used to work on MTV.
No, he doesn't need them anymore, apparently. Now he's on
he's got
AM
his own
and
network.
BBC America.
Yeah.
So he's upgraded.
And well, yeah, you have to pay more to get BBC America than MTV. MTV comes with basic cable. BBC America, you have to get the premiere. Chris definitely stepped up. Who else's birthday?
Well, another person who hasn't really contributed to Doctor Who, but she was the one to have the honor of announcing Peter Capaldi as the next Doctor. She was the host of Doctor Who
What,
Live.
Zoe Ball?
Zoe Ball.
Oh, it's everyone's birthday
40.
that's got nothing to do with Doctor Who, really.
Hey, there's still a big contribution. They still make a big contribution. Yeah. A host of a show about Doctor Who works for me.
Hi, Zoe.
Diana Quick is turned 68 today. If you're not familiar with her work, she was Prime on the screen of The Shelka, which is the Richard E. Grant webcast that he did.
Yeah.
And he was supposedly the Ninth Doctor just months away before they actually announced the actual Ninth Doctor. So I kind of felt bad about that one there. Two people's others' birthdays who are unfortunately no longer with us. Michael Gove, the Americans would know him from the original Batman movie series that starred Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer and some other guy that kind of ruined it for the rest of us.
You know who you are,
he would have been,
I won't see his first name.
He is known as Alfred. Yeah, exactly. He was known as Alfred from the movie series, but us over our Whovians will always know him as the toy maker from the Celestial toy maker from the first Doctor series. The other person who would have been 84 today, which is Richard Avon, is accredited for being in The Crusade, playing a character named, I believe it's Sapphodin.
Well, we were chock full of birthdays on the anniversary of Doctor Who.
Birthdays just today. Yes, and yes, let's not forget the most important birthday of them all. Happy 51st birthday, Doctor Who.
Woo! Happy birthday!
Exactly. Started 51 years ago with a little TV series that could.
A little TV series that could.
And actually, it didn't get off the ground too well because there was another event that took place on the same day.
It was the day before.
It was the day before?
The day before, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was... Yeah.
No, it was the 22nd of November, 1963.
Oh, I was a little off on that one.
Yeah.
Well, it did affect the premiere of the original first episode of Doctor Who, but a very young and wonderfully the first female producer of the BBC, Verity Lambert, went in there and said, you know what, we're going to try it again, rerun the show, we'll see what happens, and apparently she made a huge comeback to make the show what it's 51 years today. So thank you, Verity, for trying again. Yeah. Thank you, BBC, for being there to give it one more go.
You know, the shadow of JFK was there, but we broke through it.
Out of tragedy, something good comes out.
Like it really had anything to do with each other.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie.
Not down in it.
What?
Hey. We're a Doctor Who show. So. And that's all our news for today.
Okay.
I hope I did Trish justice, at least for this one episode.
You did.
And she can have it back any day she wants.
No, Trish, you did a good job. You did a very good job. Didn't he, folks? You're listening to Mark Who 42's Universe on Krypton Radio. We'll be right back with our special interview with Yee Jee Tso, who played Chang-lee in the 1996 telemovie Doctor Who. After these messages... Attention all Whovians! While you're waiting for the new episode of Doctor Who, start your own adventures with a book from Mark Who 42 Books. They carry unique and rare books at affordable prices. Visit Amazon.com/shops/Mark Who 42. That's Amazon.com/shops/Mark Who 42. Mark Who 42 Books. Set your imagination free into the Whoniverse.
Grab your helmets because it's time to assemble Mask. The Geekcast Radio Network has launched Mask to Mayhem with your hosts Optimus Solo and TFG and Mike. This podcast covering all 75 episodes of Mask will feature in-depth analysis of every episode, talk on the toys, and more. Mask Mayhem will run 30 podcast episodes. You can find us in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com. Get your spectrums ready as podcasting is the ultimate weapon.
To Dr. Geek's Moment of Science. Here is the lab director and your human host, Dr. Geek.
This is new. Claire, why is there a sea of turkeys in my office?
This is the Laboratory of Applied Geekdom, isn't it?
It is.
Well, your latest project is inspired by fiction.
Let me guess. You were watching WKRP in Cincinnati again?
Yes?
Sorry, Claire. I can't make a turkey fly. Well, unassisted anyway. Domestic turkeys have been bred to favor the development of white meat, making it nearly improbable for them to take flight.
Oh.
But wild turkeys can fly.
Ooh, tell me more.
Wild turkeys feed on the ground but roost in trees at night. They can fly in short bursts. Some reports say that they can fly up to 55 miles per hour.
So my dream of seeing a turkey fly can happen without spending resources in development? Excellent.
Perfect. My job is done. So, what are we going to do with all these turkeys?
Happy Thanksgiving?
This moment of science was brought to you by Dr. Geek's Laboratory of Applied Geekdom, a Brazen Wench production, copyright 2014, in association with this network. Join the adventure. Download the full Labcast at www.drgeeklab.com and follow us at facebook.com/drgeeklab and twitter.com/drgeeklab.
Hey, I'm Gary.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chuck.
And I'm Justin. Join the four of us every week on the internet's #1 and longest-running G.I. Joe podcast, What's on Joe Mind?
It's Joe news, reviews, and interviews like you've never heard them before, delivered right to your MP3 player.
Our guests include Jason Marsden, Kevin Michael Richardson, and Matt Yang King from G.I. Joe Renegades, Larry Hama, Robert Adkins, and John Barber from IDW Publishing, and many more from around the online Joe community.
Yeah, it's guys talking about Joe. Think of it as Joe Talk meets Sports Talk. And we make fun of Chuck.
Right, and hey, again?
Come on, Chuck. We're just kidding, kinda.
Sometimes Chuck makes fun of himself.
Right, and okay, seriously, this is just getting ridiculous now.
It's What's on Joe Mind, every week on the Geekcast Radio Network, InsidePulse.com, Stitcher Smart Radio, and iTunes. Download and listen today.
I suppose I still can't say something about Transformers, can I?
Good. No.
What about sports?
That sounds good.
Yeah, that's all right.
This is Ingrid Oliver, a.k.a. Osgood, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
You're listening to Mark Who 42's Whoniverse here on Krypton Radio. We've got a special interview today. We've got Yee Jee Tso, who played Chang-Lee in the Doctor Who telemovie back in 1996. Hello, Yee Jee.
Hello.
Hi. We'd love to talk to you because I know a lot of people out there don't know who you are because, some people haven't watched the old series who listen to our show, and you were only in the telemovie in terms of the visual format. Could you tell us a little about yourself? Who is Yee Jee?
Yeah, well, I was born in Hong Kong. When I was just 6 months old, my parents moved me to Vancouver. And after living in a few places and moving around a lot, we ended up in a neighborhood that was primarily Jewish, actually. And so I spent a lot of my childhood days sort of hanging out in my friend's basement, watching like Saturday Night Live and eating challah and matzo ball soup or something like that, right? So
I love matzo ball soup. That's great stuff.
Yeah, so that's where I came from, and I started doing drama and stuff like that in high school, and it all kind of went from there. It was actually one of my buddies that got me into the whole acting thing. He saw some TV ad for a general audition for this show called 15, and it wasn't necessarily high-quality programming, but interestingly, Ryan Reynolds, that's where he got his start. He was a character on 15. And my buddy that took me to the audition, unfortunately, he didn't get a part. But as it happens, I did. And that was the sort of start of it all. And after that, I started to take some more acting classes and do more auditions and stuff like that. And eventually, that led me to the Doctor Who movie.
The buddy who went with you to the audition and didn't get anything, is he still friends with you?
Yeah, yeah, he was not. I mean, he's really more of a music guy. He ended up opening up a music studio. He's done all kinds of great things for himself, but acting just wasn't for him. So
now, before you got the Doctor Who telemovie, were you a Doctor Who fan? Did you know what the show was?
Yeah, I used to watch. So I mean, I lived in Richmond, which was a little bit of a suburb of Vancouver, for maybe like 5 or 6 years growing up. But I went to school in Vancouver, and so to make a long story short, what would happen is I would get home by public transportation, and my parents would be out at work, and I sometimes they wouldn't come home until fairly late. They were like new to the country, they were working overtime, doing what they thought was right to sort of like raise a family and set up roots here and build up a bit of just get themselves set up by working real hard. So I barely really saw them. And essentially what I did was I would turn on the TV and sort of be watching TV in the background while I was kind of doing my homework or just playing around with stuff. It was just always on. So Doctor Who was one of those things that came on during that time period between 3:30 p.m. and 10 o'clock at night or whatever. Doctor Who was there on a daily basis.
So who was your first Doctor? Who was your first
Doctor?
Doctor?
It was Tom Baker, I think, that was the first... Cool. But I have to say, though, being the age that I was and having the sort of attention span that I did back then and the TV being just on all the time, I barely remember anything about any of the shows I've watched, right? Except for, oddly enough, the themes. I remember the Doctor Who music, just like I remember Knight Rider's music, you know?
Two classics. There you go.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you the story or a plot for any episode to save my life. So that's where that was.
Yeah. How'd you get the job on the telemovie?
I went for an audition, and there was, well, actually, let me rephrase that. I went for 3 auditions, and the last one, I was really freaking out, actually, because they had the auditions at this place where where the studio was. It's on this called the Lougheed Highway here in Vancouver. It's not actually in Vancouver. It's in Burnaby, which is about, it's a little ways out anyways. And it was far enough from where I was living at the time that it was a bit of a drive. And the last audition I had, I was running late, like really quite late. And it was a bad thing because usually you really do not want to be late to auditions. It's really bad form. You're surely just going to be completely refused your opportunity to audition, and they're just going to say, screw that, because we're not going to work with an actor that's late, right? So, I mean, as it turns out, I was like an hour late to this thing. Wow. This is unheard of. I'm surprised that they were all still there, and it's really, really unheard of that they'd even wait for that long. They had other people there. There was like 2 other people that were up for the role, or maybe only 1 other person. But that unfortunate soul went first and kind of buffered me a little bit. But suffice to say, when I walked into the room, everyone looked pretty pissed. So I was like, well, this isn't going to work out. So I did the audition, and whatever. It turned out later that I got the part. For the longest time, through shooting and everything like that, I never said anything about it. I didn't know why they hired me. I just kind of just went with it, right? But it was at a convention afterwards. I think it was the one in L.A. where Philip Segal had been invited to. I'm pretty sure it was the 96 or 97 Gallifrey, but I'm not totally sure. Yeah. Somebody asked Philip Segal why they hired me, and he told the story of me being late as something that actually helped me get the part, because he said they wanted for the Chang-Lee character somebody that just like didn't care. That had this all of this like some streetwise arrogance kind of thing of like, I don't give a crap about whatever, all the everything that was this I don't care feeling. I don't know. He didn't explain it very much more than that. I'm left to speculate about anything else to do with that. And he said that me being late was an indicator of that kind of character. So I mean, there's a saying in acting where if you're meant to get the part, there's almost nothing you can do to not get it. And vice versa. It's a fatalistic thing, right? They're saying if you're not meant to have the part, there's nothing you can do to force your way in there. And if you do, it's going to turn out badly anyway. And on the other side, if this is a part that was written for you, if you're sort of destined to have this part, you're going to have it no matter how badly you screw it up. And so if you believe in fatalistic kind of stuff or whatever, then I guess I was destined to be Chang-Lee.
Well, I don't know about fatalistic, but I remember getting a great part in a commercial, and when I went out for the audition, I had a cold, like a bad cold complete with laryngitis. So
did you get the part, Ed?
Yeah, I got the part. Yeah, I remember I got the part.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I even remember what I was doing when my agent called me to tell me that I got the part. I was vacuuming the house, and all of a sudden my phone rings, and my agent says, "You got it," and I'm like, "Wow, cool!" And then I proceeded to hang up and scream like a little girl.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Well, now, Yee Jee, you can go around cons going, you know what? When they were auditioning me, they saved the best for last. There you go. You can always use that anyway.
Now, I bet everyone asks you, how was Paul McGann to work with? But you see, in my way of thinking, you weren't the Doctor's companion in the movie. You were the Master's companion. So how was it to work with Eric Roberts?
Yeah, I've been asked both questions, and you're right. Chang-Lee, for the most part, was the Master's companion, and then, of course, at the end, there's that little switch, right?
Yeah.
For a very short period of time. So, in I don't know, in Doctor Who canon or whatever it is, I know very little about these things, but people still manage to consider Chang-Lee as a companion, even though yeah, technically he's the master's companion for the most part, right? So I actually had quite I wouldn't say close relationship, but the relationship between the master and Chang-lee was somewhat
paternal, wasn't it? It was like father and son almost.
It was kind of mirrored on set. Like Eric took on this sort of like not a fatherly role, but like a mentor kind of role, like a patriarchal role with me on set, to the point where we'd have little talks about acting and the industry, and he would kind of give me little. He just played that role, that patriarchal kind of role, some people have expressed that they have difficulty working with him on set, whereas I didn't have any of that, because we had this relationship, and whether he did that because that's how he created that relationship for the screen, or he knew that he was helping me to create that relationship for the screen, or whether that's truly how he felt about me, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, what's on the screen is what gets recorded in history. So so be it.
Now, stepping into the role of being a Doctor Who companion, how has it changed your life over time, since now you're part of this integral, beautiful thing now?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. They told me when I was on the show, like practically the first day on set or something like that. I think it was Jeffrey Sachs or Philip Siegel turned around and he said, you're in this for life now. He might have said it to me at a convention, at that first convention. I'm not sure. At some point during the shooting or something, one of those guys was like, that's it. You're done now. You're in the Doctor Who universe, and you're never getting out.
Yeah, Mark tells me the same thing about this show, so I'm in here for life as well. So.
You are, Christian. You are.
That's because when you got on the show, Christian, you signed your contract in blood.
Yeah.
I mean, I just used a pen.
Never doing that again. Never doing that again.
It was the flaming walls and that thing with the horns and the fire and the blood pen.
Yeah.
I just thought I was at a really good cosplay place right now. And I was just like, oh,
you were lost.
So going over the years after you've done the movie and you've gone to the conventions, how has that evolved into your life? How has it changed for you?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, my kids aren't the age yet where I've been able to take them to a lot of them, although a couple of them, like that, there was a Gallifrey in 2012 that my family came with me. Right. Was it 2012? It was one of the more recent ones anyways. And my family came with me, and they got to get a little bit of a sense of it. But I can't wait till my kids are old enough where they can actually just kind of roam around the conventions and check stuff out and come and hang out with me. Because it's actually, they're quite fun, right? And, if they keep asking me back, if Philip Siegel is right, and they keep asking me back to these things, and my kids are old enough to enjoy it, I think it'd be a really neat experience to have with them.
Did you ever get to do Dan Harris's Sea Cruise? I think you did, the one that he did up in Alaska.
No, we were in Mexico.
Oh, you were in Mexico. Okay. What did you think of that? Because I was on the very first one of those.
Yeah, that was one of the early ones. That's where I met Chaz, I believe.
Yeah, Charles Martin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good friend of the cast.
It was cool. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea to get everybody in sort of like small confines or whatever, and everybody do something like that together, embark on an adventure like that. I actually thought it was pretty neat. It was a long time ago, and my life was totally different then, and I don't think that I would be able to do one now under the similar sort of circumstances. I'd have to be able to bring my kids or something, or it's harder for me to get out to things now.
Oh, definitely. Definitely,
than they used to be.
Yeah,
but at the time it was fun.
Now, unfortunately, the TV movie didn't go any further, and we said goodbye.
You, Roseanne Barr.
She's already had her upcomings, as far as I'm concerned.
Hold on, Fox putting the telemovie opposite the episode where John Goodman has a heart attack. What the heck was Fox thinking? They did not want to make it a series. That's obvious.
And you know what? Funny enough, though, the points they got on the Doctor Who movie, the I don't know how the ratings work, but it's like on a point system, right?
Right.
And if they were to get those points now, it would completely blow everything out of the water. It's like they would just die to get that kind of audience share on a show now.
Right.
So it's timing. It's all timing. Hey, the show's about time.
Yeah. It's about
the show is about time. It's time, travel, timing, time, everything.
had the series continued on and Chang-Lee was brought back into the story, how would you have liked to seen the character evolve into? What kind of direction would you have liked to seen your character go?
At some point, I was sort of working with a fellow Doctor Who fan and also somebody who's quite talented with writing and kind of putting projects together, and was working on a sort of a prequel to Doctor Who, but it included some allusions to Chang-Lee. We can't actually use the Chang-Lee character in anything because those rights are sort of bound.
Yeah.
Weird quagmire. But there was an example of like what it would be like if Chang-Lee had a brother, and what their relationship might be like. And they were involved together in what became this sort of big Chang Aerospace. One idea, this wasn't my idea, I'm just sort of kind of throwing it out there because it could go anywhere, right? But somebody's idea was that Chang-Lee takes the gold and makes a whole bunch of money and starts to invest in aerospace-related sort of technology and innovation because of his sort of obsession with this time-traveling doctor. The fact that he had been on the TARDIS and experienced time travel, but only got that little glimpse that maybe he spends the rest of his life trying to recapture that in some way, and that whole Chang Aerospace thing actually plays into the Doctor's somehow into some future story with the Doctor. So whatever, complete speculation. Obviously, that's just one idea.
It's funny that you should mention that because I was doing some research on your character, and supposedly there was a short story that was written that featured a character that was supposed to be Chang-Lee's son, who went into the space program.
Huh. Cool.
So it's
I mean, yeah, maybe
he does that kind of research all the time. That's his thing.
I'm big on that.
He has kids. Yeah, I mean, I would hope that he would have kids. I have kids, and I love it. So I would hope that Chang. There's a lot of places that he goes. So some people have maybe speculated. I think I've seen some sort of speculation somewhere where they were like, well, Chang-Lee takes the gold and turns into a bad guy or whatever. I mean, it could go a lot of different ways. I would hope he would go a place that was not quite so sinister.
I think Chang-Lee was really a good-natured person at heart, a good-natured character. I think he would be on the side of good. I think the Master episode was just a little
hiccup.
A hiccup.
Yeah. Hiccup.
Well, the backstory to that character that never made it into the movie was that the gang people that he was hanging out with, alley or whatever.
Right.
Those weren't the first of the casualties in this gang war that he had. They were the last of the casualties.
I think that was in the novelization. I think in the novelization it goes into that.
Yeah, he has had family members taken away from this whole gang war thing and all that. So I think the idea is that the Doctor comes into his life at a time where he's maybe primed for change. He might not be ready for change, but he might be like, you know what? I've just lost everything. I've done whatever I've done on the streets or whatever like that, and maybe this is an opportunity to try something completely different and change my ways. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why he was interested in the Master in the first place. As if you remember, the Master obviously represented himself as the good guy in the story, right? So I think Chang-Lee was drawn to that in a way, and that sort of fed into the whole betrayal scene at the end and blah blah blah, right? So
another speculative question. At the end of the TV movie, the Doctor tells Chang-Lee to take a vacation next New Year's Eve. If you had to speculate, why do you think the Doctor told Chang to take a vacation? What do you think would have happened to Chang if he had stuck around San Francisco?
I think this is probably the only time. Maybe there's only been one other time where I've been asked this question, but I don't know. I haven't got a really good answer for that. I don't think I've pondered it enough to come up with a really creative and fun answer. I mean, there could be lots of things that happen on a New Year's in San Francisco. It could be something to do with Chang-Lee specifically. I mean, originally when I read the script, I was thinking like, oh, maybe there's like another gang-related incident that happens. But since then, I've always thought of Chang-Lee as like evolving past the whole gang stuff after his run-in with the Doctor Who. So I don't know. It's a bit of a quagmire. It's a mystery, and I hope someone writes it one day.
I was loving the fact that when we were talking about your son, and it just reminded me back to George Takei, who, when they did the final Star Trek, the original cast team, the final movie, The Final Frontier, they were talking about him, and he goes, what do you think about your daughter in the series? And he goes, I have a daughter? So he never even knew that he had a daughter that they wrote into the story. So I was thinking along those lines, like, I have a son? How did that happen? Who was the one, who gave me that son? What's this all about? So I guess when they just write the stories around you, you're just like, okay, I didn't know that, but hey.
Now, after you did the telemovie, you worked on other science fiction television series. a few of them as, I guess, guest spots. You did Sliders, didn't you?
Yeah, Sliders was before the Doctor Who.
Oh, it was before Doctor. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I'm timey-wimey here. Sorry.
I was in the pilot of Sliders, and then one subsequent episode or whatever. It was a really tiny, small.
Well, yeah. Were you one of the students?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were one of the students. Thought so. Okay, I do remember your part now. I remember.
How's it just kicking in, huh?
And you also did Stargate SG-1.
Yeah, and Atlantis too. Actually.
Oh, and Atlantis. What was your character in that?
SG-1, I was like one of those tech guys, and that was a shorter stint. On Atlantis, I got to spend a few episodes with them. Also as a tech guy, as like one of the like people in the console room kind of thing. General tech dude. nothing all that special as far as like story, but it was fun to be on that set.
So you're good at technobabble, then.
Sorry? Yes,
you're good at technobabble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the source of technobabble. That's exactly. I get that stuff a lot, actually.
And you got to survive both times, right?
Yep. No dying there.
No red shirting.
No red shirts.
Yeah. No red shirting.
That's the important thing.
And nobody wrote you in a mystery son or daughter at that time, did they?
No.
Nobody just wrote in some family member that you didn't have. Yee Jee, one of my favorite Doctor Who stories almost of all time is one that is not even on TV, and I really enjoyed you in it. It's Real Time, the webcast.
Oh, yeah, that was
amazing, and it was just a wonderful story, and I would like your take on working with two different doctors. I know one was on a set, the other one was in an audio sound stage. What was it like seeing, the dynamics between
Actually,
Colin
he had three doctors because he had Sylvester, he had
oh, that's
Paul,
right, yeah,
and Colin. So he technically had three, even though Sylvester was kind of lying dead.
It's kind of true. Yeah.
Well, I still consider having worked Sylvester. It was like we didn't have a whole ton of interaction on camera, but he's such a presence wherever he goes. Sylvester is such a presence that you can't forget working with the guy. You know what I mean? And then subsequently seeing him at conventions and stuff like that, it's like he just makes himself so he's such a bigger than life. He truly is, right? So you never forget work. Same with Colin to a degree too. Like I will never forget working with Colin in the studio. That was one of the sort of highlights of doing anything, Doctor Who or not, was having a chance to work with Colin in the studio.
Yeah.
The Big Finish audios were an interesting experience for me because I'd done audio stuff before, but not in this genre. And so Big Finish really kind of like introduced me to like sci-fi audio drama, like long form audio drama. And every time I go back, I have a blast. It's like those guys are just amazing to work with.
And you've gone back, I think, besides Excelsis Decays, you've gone back 3 times as the same character, Charlie-Sato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, we had there was Real Time, Excelsius Decays, and then the Vault stuff.
The Vault stuff is great. I just listened to Tales from the Vault, Mastermind, and then The Screaming Skull through the world of Doctor Who this week on my way to work and back from work, and I loved it. You did a great job.
Oh, thanks. It's super fun. Yeah, the Vault series has a lot of legs, and I really had a chance to explore a character again in the Doctor Who universe. So it's really nice. We can actually had a chance to develop a little bit through a few stories.
You got to work with Daphne.
Got to work with Daphne again.
Yeah, that's cool.
So would you ever want to do a Doctor Who project as Chang-Lee again?
If the opportunity came up, I would certainly jump at it. I don't know if it ever will. Like I say, there's sort of like the characters embroiled in these sort of rights issues or whatever like that. But I've been tempted to sort of try to rally the troops online and put together some kind of a thing for Fox and Universal and try to get, whatever. There's a lot going on in my life, and I haven't really been able to dedicate any time to something like that. But, I've been tempted. I've been definitely thought about it. I would be motivated to get Chang-Lee back in there in some way because I think it would be really fun to explore what he's doing sort of 20 years later. Just like, I'm much older now. His character would presumably be much older if he re-enters into TV land.
Right.
But that all said and done, it's probably unlikely that it'll ever happen, to be honest.
But maybe you could come back as another character. Or maybe they could bring Charlie onto the show, onto the TV show, because that would be great. Are you still a Doctor Who fan? Do you still watch the new series?
You know what? I don't get a chance to watch nearly any TV really, because just from my schedule and work and all this kind of stuff. But I have tried to make my way through the stuff that's on Netflix. I don't get cable. That's another
I don't have cable either.
I don't get TV when it comes out for everybody. So I wait until it comes out on Netflix or Apple TV or something. So I do have the first season of the new series, the Chris Eccleston season, and I haven't. I'm gonna get rotten fruit thrown at me for saying this. I have not made it all the way through yet. I intend to watch all of the new series, but I've been real slow about it.
Now, I have, Ed asked one of those fanboyish questions, and now I have to ask you one. The show Torchwood, have you seen any of that? This is not the question. This is to set up the question.
I haven't yet. No, I want to, though. I've met some of the Torchwood folks.
Okay.
They're nice folks.
There is a character, Tosh, and she's a doctor. Her character got killed off, but her full name, the character name, is Toshiko Sato. And I was wondering when they were creating Charlie Sato, if at Big Finish they ever, talked maybe behind the scenes that maybe the two characters were related. Have you ever heard anything like that?
I haven't been privy to such talks, but that doesn't necessarily mean that such talks didn't take place. They didn't include me in the, and a lot of the times, you know what, because actors are the part of a production that the people have most exposure to or whatever, right. when they're consuming the final product, they think that we know everything about the show, when in fact we're like the last people to find out anything.
Yeah, no, I just thought maybe something behind the scenes, something was said.
It's quite possible they might have dropped the bomb on that one and let me know about that. Hey, we're tying this character in, and sometimes those conversations.
I think they should have.
Well, Mark, Tosh, she showed up in the Eccleston run first of all,
in the Eccleston run,
and she was kind of excited to meet like what she thought would be an actual real live alien. So the door's kind of open there because who knows, maybe her brother or cousin Charlie or whatever, maybe he told stories and got her interested.
And that's why he's in you. Well, no, because if I remember correctly, in the story Mastermind, we found out that your sister is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Tosh couldn't be his sister unless the Master did go back in time and help your father save her. But I'm really.
We're really reaching for this.
I just listened to it.
We are so reaching.
I love it.
Hey, it doesn't have to be sister. She could be a cousin, a niece. Come on.
Okay.
It could be the illegitimate son he's never had.
There you go. Now we've been talking for about a half hour now about Doctor Who and stuff, and I wanted to give you a chance to talk about maybe any current projects you're in or any online access people can get of you. A little bit of a plug. Give yourself a plug.
I've had there's a website for my acting stuff. It's just yeejeetso.com or whatever, and you guys, people. It's not an overly busy site. I haven't updated it in a while either, so I kind of feel bad about that. But generally, what I try to do is put all of my new credits on there. So if I work on a show, I'll put it on there. I do other stuff as well as film and TV stuff. I also work for a company called ModX, MODX. I'm a web project manager. I have a regular job as well.
Doing web design?
Web development mostly.
If you need a web designer, I'm available. I just finished school for it, so I'm applying for a job now.
Cool.
Well, technically
we should talk offline about that for sure.
We definitely should.
Christian, I think Mark is trying to ditch us to go work for Yee.
Yeah, forget this radio show thing. We'll just go. I gotta go solo.
Mark, Christian, Trish, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go work for Chang-lee.
Even Sting had to leave police, so I meant whatever.
The internet's a fun place, though. It actually is a really neat place to make a living and to hang out and to explore technology. I love that. It's funny because in 2001, I think is when it released. I played a cyber geek guy on a movie called Antitrust with some fairly well known people, and the character was like this big proponent of open source software. He was a big, he was just, this geek that was like all into open source software. And now I work for an open source software company. It's really strange.
Teddy Chin is Yee Jee Tso.
Yeah. Pretty weird. Maybe one day I'll be a gangster that travels through time.
Yeah.
Whoa! I think we got a movie idea here.
Yeah.
Yee Jee Tso as the guy who goes through time.
Yeah. We'll look you up with Travis Ritchie. We'll get you on the on the Inspector Chronicles.
Yeah.
If Mark decides to go do web design for Yee, how about we replace him with David Lee Roth?
Yeah, what is he doing these days?
I don't know.
Or I don't know. Did anybody replace Phil Collins when he left Genesis? Can we call them?
Oh no, the show is going downhill.
You're the one who's trying to get a job with Yee.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's where I'm going. Well, Yee Jee, I want to thank you so much for doing this interview.
You're very welcome. It was a blast.
And I wish you all the success with the web development. And maybe I will. I think I will talk to you about the web design. I now have your Skype thing, so I can contact you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he does leave the show, we will be more than happy to rewrite everything Yee Jee Who 42. I don't think that's a problem.
Oh no!
Certainly be a different type of show here, but more.
So thank you very much, Yee Jee, and we appreciate you being here on Mark Who 42's Universe here on Krypton Radio. That was an amazing interview, wasn't it, Christian? Yeah.
Yes.
That's all the time we've got for Mark Who 42's Universe this week. Isn't that sad, Christian?
No. Wait a minute. It's just the two of us. We barely hang out here.
We should hang out longer. Maybe we'll hang out longer, but you guys, we're sorry, we have to say bye to you. Don't forget to go to markwho42.net and join the Whoniverse Army. Just sign up on it, leave comments, read our news, get our podcast from there. You can also find our old podcasts on iTunes, Geekcast Radio Network, Florida Geek Scene, and also you must like our Facebook page, Mark Who 42's Universe, and don't forget to tweet us at MarkWho42. Anything else you want to say, Christian, before we leave these nice young people?
Yes,
and I'm assuming they're nice young people, because if they're mean old people, well, I don't know what to say.
Well, they're Whovians.
They're Whovians.
Always,
okay.
They're always cool. Whovians have a distinction against they just are.
Yeah.
That's good.
They just are.
Yeah, exactly. And for folks who want to get into the holiday spirit, head on over to the Facebook site, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, starting December 1st. We're going to be playing all of your holiday favorite music, all of your holiday favorite videos. We're going to have some crazy pictures from previous years to the present day where the Traveling TARDIS is going to go out and about. Just go Christmas wild. Some really cool memes coming up there as we are leading to the Christmas episode, Christmas Day, 25th of December. So come and check in daily over at The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, as well as Mark Who 42 Facebook for your latest news, reviews, and interviews. And we're going to have a great holiday season this year.
Speaking of holidays, because this show airs on Wednesday and Friday of this week, what falls in between?
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, folks. We'll talk to you next time here on Mark Who 42's Universe.
Happy Thanksgiving there, folks. Happy holidays. We'll see you.
Mark Who 42's Universe has been written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Patricia Helm, Eduardo-m-Freyre, and Christian-basel. This show was edited, produced, and directed by Mark Baumgarten. If you have worked on Doctor Who or are working on a project relating to Doctor Who and want to be on our radio show, please email our media relations director, Christian-basel, at markwho42media@yahoo.com.
Mark Who 42 Universe.
Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2014. You're listening to Krypton Radio.